The T20Is it is to kick things off for India in South Africa, their second last listed assignment before the T20 World Cup, which means there's so much to consider, so many questions that are to be answered, so many players looking to stake a claim. Here are 5 things we'll be keeping a keen eye on through the India-South Africa T20Is. Let's begin with the openers, and even though Rohit Sharma is still rested and not in the mix, there is a call to make here because there are 3 players in contention. Shubman Gill is back in the T20I fold after having been rested after the World Cup. Made his debut at the start of this year and followed that up with a nearly 900-run IPL season, that too at a strike rate touching 160, which means if India are to put Gill back into the 11, who do they drop out of the 2 who played in Australia? Because Ruturaj Gaikwad was top scorer in that series at a healthy strike rate, and Yash Jaiswal, while his runs weren't as much, had an even better strike rate, and he too had a phenomenal IPL, 600 plus runs at a strike rate above 160. So tough call for India to make, and that's one we'll have our eye out on who opens. Could Jaiswal's potential overs tip the scale in his favour? Let's come to that a little later. Number 2, can Jitesh Sharma and Rinku Singh stake claims to be India's finisher for the World Cup? Both of them have got some opportunities, Rinku more than Jitesh, and Rinku has stood out so far. Limited opportunities you get in this kind of a role, but he's made an impact almost every time he's had a bat for India. It's what you look for from a finisher, instant impact. He has been doing that, continuing the high of that magnificent IPL campaign he had for KKR. In Jitesh's case, he only got 2 games against Australia, but he too made an impact, especially in that first game, 35 of 19, coming in a tricky spot. That's just the kind of knock you want from your finishers. What makes it a bit of a dilemma is that these two will know that potentially in India's final 11, if all players are available, there's probably room only for one. So a big series for these two, who we are expecting should feature in most of the games. Now, the next one is a question that has followed India for a while. Are they going to develop a 6th bowler? You look at this squad and you look at all the guys who can make the top 6. There are only 2 who you would consider as potential bowling options. That's Yashasvi Jaiswal and Tilak Varma. Now, we don't know whether either of them actually features in the playing 11, but if they do, is it time for India to start giving them some overs? We've just gone through an Australia series where India went through 5 games where they never used a 6th bowler, despite there being several games where their bowlers leaked plenty. They've seen what the effect of not having depth can be it with bat or ball. So are India going to start trying to build something on that front? As far as specialist bowlers go, the one big question to answer is who is the second spinner, leave alone the long term, for this series. Because Ravindra Jadeja as vice-captain, who will complement him? You've got Ravi Bishnoi, who's had a dream series against Australia, player of the series, leading wicket taker, now ranked number 1, bowled some tough power play overs and did a good job there. But you could argue that Bishnoi has only been playing so much because Kuldeep Yadav was being rested in T20Is while India focused on ODIs. Kuldeep himself, through his resurgence post-2022, has been impressive in the shortest format as well. So which way India go between Kuldeep and Bishnoi, and do they persist that way, is a big call for them to take ahead of the opener, because you'd imagine it's hard to play 3 spin options in South Africa. And finally, looking at the pacers, Arshdeep Singh and Mukesh Kumar are the 2 prominent ones from the Australia series who feature here as well. And they are potentially jostling for one spot if you start looking ahead to India's full strength 11. Because Bumrah walks in. You'd imagine Siraj, in particular with his power play prowess, is also someone who's high up in the pecking order, which means a death overs role becomes important. Now, that's a role both Arshdeep and Mukesh have been performing. With Arshdeep, one thing that has happened this year is that he's become a little more leaky. There was that frugality that made him stand out through 2022, where he had such a great start to international cricket. That has kind of gone out the window this year. Mukesh, now his numbers might not glare out at you when you see them. Not a lot of wickets, and the economy is also touching 9. But he's bowled about 40% of his overs in the death, and in those death overs, the economy is below 8. So between Arshdeep and Mukesh, there's potentially a great jostle there, and we're imagining that Arshdeep, Mukesh and Siraj should be India's go-to trio, with Deepak Chahar, the 4th seamer in the squad in South Africa.